Inspiration.com.
If I had to pick one movie from when I was a kid that was more anticipated than anything else, a movie that defined what it meant to be a child at that period of time, it would be Tim Burton's 1989 movie, Batman. Everyone in the world got excited for this movie. You saw that Bat logo everywhere. Billboards everywhere. Everybody's t-shirt. Everybody had that t-shirt with the Batman logo on it. This was the most anticipated movie since maybe Empire Strikes Back at the very beginning of the decade. This was the movie. The summer of '89 was a great summer for movies. You got Indiana Jones' Last Crusade and Lethal Weapon 2. You got some sequels that people would consider lesser, but we were still excited for them, like Ghostbusters 2, Karate Kid 3. There were so many great movies that came out in the summer of '89, but Batman towered above all of them as far as the zeitgeist goes. It became the template for comic book movies for up until, I would say, replaced by Dark Knight and Iron Man in 2008. There was no doubt that there would be a sequel. And we got that sequel in 1992, and that sequel is Batman Returns. I have here my 4 film favorites Batman collection, which also includes the '89 movie, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. What are you going to do? Batman Returns is the better movie, in my opinion. Not by much, but it is the better movie. First off, I would like to address the controversy at the time, which was that the movie was too dark for Batman. You know, how could you make it? My kids saw this and they burst into tears and they're so scared. And Penguin. If those people, those parents who had complained about Batman Returns could have seen the movies that we got, the Nolan trilogy, the movie with Ben Affleck, now we've got the new one coming out with Robert Pattinson. It sounds like it's going to be R-rated, and it's 7, but with Batman in it. You got Batman now telling the Joker, "I'm going to fucking kill you." Batman Returns was not a dark movie. It was campy like the first one. I mean, maybe we didn't think of it as campy at the time. We thought of it as dark. These were dark movies at the time. And they do have dark elements that they certainly weren't the Adam West Batman. And I think maybe that's what a lot of people were expecting. But I didn't get the controversy. I was 12 when Batman Returns came out. I was fine with it. It didn't bother me. It didn't scare me. I didn't have nightmares about Danny DeVito. Batman Returns, Michael Keaton returns. Michael Keaton's my Batman. Always will be. And this time he's facing the Penguin, played by Danny DeVito, and in a completely iconic role, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. Now, I have something kind of different that I want to do with this video. So let me just get the review out of the way real fast. It's a great movie. I'm giving it 5 stars. It's a Christmas movie. You watch it around December, and it fits the Christmas theme. It's not too dark. The character of a Penguin, and especially of Catwoman, are more complex than your average superhero movie villain, certainly more complex than what we would get with Riddler and Two-Face, and Mr. Freeze, and Poison Ivy, and Bane. Batman Returns, that I love this movie. I love it. I've loved it since I was 12 years old. Reviews out of the way, 5 stars. Now, the Batman franchise is one that it completely went off the rails. In part because, in my opinion, they pushed Tim Burton out. And then doing so pushed out Michael Keaton, and they completely changed the tone as a reaction to Batman Returns. And they made Batman Forever this neon-colored nightmare, and then even more so in Batman and Robin. They completely destroyed not only the Batman franchise, but they kind of destroyed superhero movies for a while. You know, I mean, they were toxic for a little while. Not really until X-Men in 2000 did superhero movies really start to make their comeback. Blade came before that, but Blade was sort of a lesser hit. X-Men really kind of changed that. And then especially Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. So I would like to really quick take a quick look at the Batman franchise that could have been under Tim Burton. And this is, people say, well, who are you to redo these movies? This is for fun. This is just what I kind of fantasize about now. Looking back, what would have been great, okay? We're going to start with 89 Batman. Wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change anything. Except for one. We're going to take Billy D. Williams out of the role of Harvey Dent. And we're going to drop in Christopher Walken as Harvey Dent. Billy D. Williams, I love Billy D., but everybody says, well, he would have eventually become a great Two-Face. No, not really. I can't see him playing Two-Face. He oozes just this cool, just sort of laid-back vibe. I just don't see him with a burned face being a big bad supervillain. Tommy Lee Jones was terrible as Harvey Dent, so we're keeping him out. And you say Christopher Walken already played Max Schreck in Batman Returns. Aha. We get to Batman Returns, and what we change in Batman Returns is we get rid of Max Schreck, and we put in Harvey Dent. We keep the plot more or less the same. Penguin is still blackmailing Christopher Walken, this time as Harvey Dent, but he's gotten hold of Harvey's psychological records. So he knows that the split personality exists. Now, it is the split personality, it's the bad version of Harvey that pushes Selina Kyle out the window. So in this way, we don't get the sort of Max Schreck sleazy politician character. We get Christopher Walken playing this guy who's got these two personalities. He doesn't have the face yet, but he's got this public persona. He's the DA. He wants to keep his job. He wants to get reelected. But he's got this split personality. He's trying to keep it under control. But the split personality is doing these horrible things. And working with the Penguin. Penguin's blackmailing the good Harvey Dent. He doesn't know what to do. And then at the end of the movie, when Catwoman gets her revenge, she deforms Harvey Dent. And instead of killing him, the end of Batman Returns ends with Harvey in the hospital, now Two-Face. Then we get to Batman Forever. We keep Tim Burton. We keep Michael Keaton. We've got now Christopher Walken playing Two-Face. He's the central villain. We bring in Robin Williams to play the Riddler. He was everybody's first choice. He was the one that was supposed to play the Riddler. Jim Carrey just so happened to be... I don't hate Jim Carrey as the Riddler, but Robin Williams would fit the Tim Burton tone better than Jim Carrey would have. I would get rid of the whole brain thing that Riddler had, the brain drain gizmo. You beef up Two-Face is more of a genuine threat. The Riddler is more of a side threat, working with him, whatever. I'm not getting into plot details here. I'm just saying this is the broad strokes. And you would eventually, at the end of the movie, you kill off Harvey Dent. And you... that ends this trilogy arc for that character, right? But Riddler doesn't die. Riddler gets committed to Arkham. And in Arkham, Riddler, he finds that he's got a doctor. He's got a doctor that's working with him. And the doctor is Jonathan Crane, and he is played by Jeff Goldblum. We now begin the second trilogy. Okay? Batman and Robin. We keep Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. Okay? We get rid of Arnold. Arnold is not Mr. Freeze. Okay? We put in Patrick Stewart. Yes, Captain Picard is going to play Mr. Freeze in this darker movie, again directed by Tim Burton, again starring Michael Keaton. We can keep Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. Just don't have her play it as campy and stupid. No Bane in this movie. You have Robin in it, introduced in Batman Forever. And we could keep Chris O'Donnell. I don't really have a strong sense of who should have played Robin. DiCaprio, I know, was up for the role. He would have been good. He was younger, could have maybe grown into the role. The story, blah, 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 could be the same story. The story structure of Batman and Robin actually isn't the problem. You know, Mr. Freeze is trying to thaw out his love. It's the story from Batman, the animated series. Uma Thurman is helping him do that. Poison Ivy is. Keep all that. Get rid of Batgirl for this movie. And then you have Jeff Goldblum in the background. He's there. You're sowing the seeds, right? Now we get to the fifth movie. The fifth movie, Batman Unchained, which was one of the titles for Batman 5 before they canceled it. In this movie, we have the Mad Hatter as the main villain. Played by Mike Myers. Yes, Mike Myers. I would bring in, who was very hot at the time. You absolutely could have, that's the star power that movie needed. And we're going to bring in some muscle for him. We're going to bring Bane into this one, and Bane will be played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes, Arnold does still get to be in the movie, just not as Bane, or not as Mr. Freeze. We will have, at the end of Batman and Robin, Dick Grayson quits. This movie, he becomes Nightwing. Batman takes on Barbara Gordon, not Pennyworth, Gordon, as his new apprentice. We get Batgirl in this movie. Again, plot, I'm not throwing out a plot. This is just for fun. But we're threading in still Jonathan Crane as this character who is creating these supervillains at this point out of Arkham Asylum. This leads us finally into Batman Triumphant, the sixth and final movie in this Tim Burton-Michael Keaton collaboration. Batman Triumphant, we finally reveal Jonathan Crane, again played by Jeff Goldblum, as the Scarecrow. But we also show that the sort of Machiavellian character behind all of this was Ra's al Ghul, played by Liam Neeson. We're going to, basically at this point, this movie would have come out around the same time Batman Begins came out. Basically making the Christopher Nolan trilogy wouldn't have happened. So you bring Liam Neeson in to play Ra's al Ghul, and you go out. It's called Batman Triumphant because it's Batman finally sort of having a victory over what would be the final supervillains in Gotham. You know, you find out that it was really kind of Jonathan Crane and Ra's al Ghul all this time, that they torturing patients in Arkham and then setting them loose on the city. And Batman, Nightwing, Batgirl, maybe even the second Robin, maybe Jason Todd or Tim Drake, bring them in, and you have the sort of the Bat family against, maybe even bring in the villains that hadn't died. Bring back Mr. Freeze and Riddler and Poison Ivy. Anybody who hadn't died in the previous movies, you could bring them back. That would be the epic conclusion to my Batman saga as directed by Tim Burton. Now, you can agree with some of my choices. You could not agree with some of my choices. I think what you can't disagree with is it would have been better than Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. So, getting back to Batman Returns, 5 stars. I think a better movie than the '89 movie. I think second best Batman movie, only second to The Dark Knight. But Batman Returns is probably closer in tone to comics Batman than Dark Knight. Dark Knight went for the realistic tone. I appreciate that. It was different. I appreciate different. But Batman Returns lives in a comic book Gotham City. I think that's what I always liked about it. It is dark, but not too dark. Don't let the reputation fool you. This Christmas, get yourself some eggnog, pop in Batman Returns, and rejoice in the season.
The worlds. Sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,